straight to the camera.
You can look wherever you like.
No, don't look at the camera.
You can look wherever you like. You could look here. You could look here. I prefer if you're not looking over there.
Yeah.
You could, I guess you could do that as well. All right. Hello. Good evening. My name is Niall, as you may know, and this evening, I'm going to be presenting on adoption practices around the world and how they differ culturally, Eastern, Western, and African. All right. So a couple of terms I wanted to get out of the way that I think are important to our understanding are developed and developing. Developed countries like the United States are considered powerful. Developing countries such as, per se, Somalia are working largely to improve their economy and the wealth state of their nation. I say it's important to understand these definitions because the operations of how things work and the practices that these countries may employ may be different across developed and developing countries. And I also put like a little tidbit of information on the dependency theory, which relates core countries that are developed to developing countries in the periphery. I find this useful in understanding how world economy plays out everyday interactions. So when we talk about East, West, and African, these are going to be the three ways we separate culturally the world. So when we talk about Eastern, geographically speaking, we're going to be talking about the surrounding islands of Asia as well as Asia. When we talk about Western, we're going to be talking primarily of the Americas and some Northern European countries. When we talk about Africa, we're talking about African, we talk about Africa, and some small groups found in the Caribbean. So some things are going to be pretty similar across the board when it comes to adoption, whether it's in or out of the family. So I think real quick to cover the limitations, adoption is actually forbidden in Vietnam, Nepal, and Guatemala. And many countries actually have it suspended due to malpractice, human trafficking, and other practices that come with taking advantage of adoption. So for Western practices, I focused on largely the United States, and I took some information from the Department of State. It's inside or outside of the family. Communication from the biological parents and the biological family to the adoptive family is encouraged, but it is not necessarily enforced. The process itself is quite lengthy and in-depth in that you are paired with a contractor, you find someone that helps find a placement, someone that's going to get an understanding for what the family may be looking for and the best suited child that may fit within that family. When we talk Eastern, it's going to be typically within the family. For example, like cousins will adopt other cousins. If you have a brother or sister, you may adopt their child. Typically, it may be specific to males. We look at Korea's North and South. They're going to be specific to seeking males for adoption. Contact between the biological family and the adoptive family is not necessarily encouraged or enforced. If it happens, it happens. I thought it was pretty interesting when I looked at African practices of adoption in that they largely encourage communication between the adoptive family and the biological family. They find it as a way to greatly tie the two families together and create a strong bond that is life-lasting. So I thought that was really, really cool, something that they do. Typically, there's no specification on gender, male or female, and there's no specification on whether it's inside